much for joining us today. We have the pleasure of listening to Kimberly McGann, CLF, CPBC. Kimberly is a visionary coach and consultant in the financial service field, and she's been shaping professionals' careers since 2011. She's ascended to the role of teaming director with a proven track record. She has a passion for leadership, and she began her journey as a government litigation representative in 2002, honing her negotiation skills and finding fulfillment in advocating for others. Kim is going to talk to us today about teaming with financial advisors. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly McGann. Thank you for joining us, Kim.
Thank you, Thomasina, for having me.
Let's get started. I'm going to ask you, tell me a little bit about teaming. Why should we be interested? What's so important that we need to do this today?
I think oftentimes financial advisors forget to see that they are business owners. They are building a practice, they are building a business, and they oftentimes don't see themselves in that position. And as they're working with clients, they do come across business owners. What is the one thing they're always trying to tell them to do? Plan for the what if. But is a financial advisor ever planning for their what if moment? And if so, how do they do that? They don't really look and see themselves as that CEO inside their practice. So one of the things that we try to do is help them see themselves in that position, and then to build out their what if scenario. What if they were to get hit by a bus tomorrow? What would happen to all of their clients? Who would step in and take over and know what was going on and understand what their clients' wishes had, that they've built over years, the plans they put together, why maybe they purchased certain insurance products, or why they set assets up the way they did and they built the trust the way that they did. So clients now have lost their true advocate for them and their legacy. So this is why we look at financial advisors and we say, teaming isn't just about you. It's also about your clients. It's about protecting your legacy, the brand that you've built all these years. And it's protecting the trust that your clients have put into you.
Wow. So, it's a good idea for a financial advisor to not just be a solopreneur, but to align themselves with other like-minded people then, huh?
Absolutely. And you do have the opportunity, whether you do work in a firm or over time you meet people. And I do often tell advisors, let's go back to the old school way of start dating another advisor. See if you're like-minded. See if you have the same values. See if you are going in the same direction of putting a plan together for clients. How can you feed off of each other? And then you start to get engaged more and more with each other. Then you kind of get married and you start to bring it together. And that's where you can build succession plans and such for the what ifs. I'm very hesitant. We just don't jump in together and say, this is a team and we're moving forward. You really do start with the dating process to make sure that you're even comfortable delegating clients to this individual, and you know that they are going to care for them as much as you would, because nobody wants to hand off a client and not have that client feel that they're just as important to the next person.
Exactly. You've got your CLF, and in your course, I remember we went over teaming as forming, storming, norming, and performing, right? And then a journey. So, what are some of the common struggles you see when teams try to come together, and what can they do to overcome some of that?
Honesty. Teams, and of course, we're all human. Everybody's uncomfortable having the hard conversations. This is where advisors often, that the temperaments flare, or the I don't feel that I'm being compensated the right way. So I always say, sit down and decide, what are the roles and responsibilities? Who is handling what on each case? Out there in this world is something called MDRT splits. It's the $1 million roundtable splits. I tell advisors, let's take this. It breaks it up into different 20 percentages. Let's even break down that 20%. Maybe 10 is where it was sourced. 10 is who made the phone call. 10 is who's doing the service, but who may be handling this side of it. Let's go through it, break it all down and say, here's what our agreement is to 100%. And then as each case comes in that's new, let's sit down and review it. You're doing X, I'm doing Y. Great, we agreed that this is the split on the case. Have this conversation up front so that everybody is aware of what is expected of them, not only from the very beginning, but in the middle of the case, and then servicing the client throughout, and also opening new opportunities, because then this is where the senior advisors will come in and say, but it was sourced for me. You're absolutely right. And off the bat, you get 10%. So if you're not doing anything else with this case, but it's now been delegated, you continuously receive 10% on any new opportunities. By doing so, you're getting the hardest part out of the way with the other advisors who are working this case, right up front. The other struggle that advisors face is delegation. As much as advisors may want to say they're not hoarders, they are hoarders of their clients. And sometimes they're doing them a disservice. Why is that? Well, maybe they haven't picked up the phone and called the client in 3 years. They don't know that maybe there was a major life event. They don't know that, maybe the grandparents now have a grandchild that just got married and they want to put money away for them, or they want to buy a house for them, whatever it may be. They're not aware of a new goal or a new opportunity out there that this client is trying to achieve. So I always kind of say, if you haven't worked with them in 3 years, they're not your client anymore. Somebody else is able to pick up the phone and call them. Why not have somebody on your team calling them at least 1 to 2 times a year, just checking in?
I think you're absolutely correct, Kim. I run across that in my practice that people reach capacity. Success is a big problem for a lot of financial advisors because if they do a really great job, they don't have the capacity to go back and help people. They're so busy getting so many referrals, they can just move forward. They can't look back. And so teaming does make a big difference in that. So you've told us a lot about what it means to start a team and some of their common struggles. How do you think people can set themselves up for success from the very beginning? I mean, this is a fairly new concept, and yeah, and financial advisors kind of live in me, my, I world, and they want to take care of. How do we break down these silos? How do we make this the best thing that can happen for them and their clients?
So it really starts with advisors putting their egos aside.
Mm.
I have now been in this industry over 21 years. I'm lucky enough that I've come into a company where teaming has been now going on for, it will be 50 years in 2026. So I'm learning from someone that is all he instilled in his advisors. And I've been able to come in, listen to him over all these years and hear how he talks to advisors. And he would always say, when it comes to either you get 0%, you get 100%, you get 50%. What would you rather have? 0, 50, or 100%, you're the lone guy, but you can manage more clients and be a part of more clients if you're sitting in that 50 range. Why is that? Because you have other advisors coming in. They're owning the relationship as well, but you may pop in here and there. You may be a part of it. The other side that advisors, again, it's the delegation. So when I sit down with advisors, we really talk through who are your A clients, your top clients. Let's get the list together. So we sit down, we go through that list, and in that list, I then say, how many times can you meet with them in the year? We put that number out. I tell advisors all the time, there's no right or wrong answer for an A client. That is up to you. You know, they may enthusiastically endorse you. You love spending time with this person. You want more of this person in your life and their friends. Great. That is really up to you as to who are your A clients. Then we go through and say, who are your B clients? Who are your C clients? And I keep C as they're your family and your friends. You can't really delegate them. So they're your C clients. We put them over here. We know this, but they're really the ones you have to talk to once a year, maybe if that. And then I have one that's for you. You as unevaluated. They're your 3+ year clients. So this way, a new advisor can come in on your team and start working with the unevaluated clients that you haven't talked to 3+ years. The other side of this is if you have assistants that are working within your team, which if you're an advisor and you are not investing back into your business with people on your team that are not advisors, you're already setting yourself up for without success. So please always invest in your team, having these assistants support, whatever it may be, and what are their roles and what are their responsibilities? You may have someone that focuses strictly on new client acquisition, someone that strictly focuses on client management. Whatever it is, please just have it outlined because that you will know who to delegate to. The other advisors will know who to delegate to and who's going to handle what. The other side is make sure that you're creating a value and a proposition. Why do I say that? Because what is it that you're offering your clients? What is your vision, your mission? If the other individuals within your team of advisors and assistants do not see this and do not believe in this, get rid of them sooner rather than later. They will only hurt your practice. So when I say that, it's sitting down with advisors, make it scalable, make it efficient, be the one that manages your practice. Don't let your practice manage you. So I always try to say advisors actually thrive in teams. They just need to have a coach, a consultant, someone sitting down with them and holding them accountable to what they say they're going to do. So that for me is how a team can truly set them up for success.
Oh, great. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation. Before we bring it to the end, is there any other nuggets you want to leave us with about why it's important to a team or, how we can start? Especially if I've been a lone ranger, how do I shift my mindset on this?
That is a hard one for a lot of advisors. I am in the process of doing that right now with somebody who has been in the business for over 50 years. He has this incredible practice. He has 3 wonderful assistants, and it's him. And I keep saying to him, but what if? So he finally sat down, and as a coach, I started with the simple question: what do you want to do more of in your own personal time? His answer, like most, golf. I want to golf more. Okay, great. So if we could get you on the golf course a minimum 2 times a week, where do we start? Well, we have to start with identifying who are the clients you are willing to work with. So we started with that. He has a couple of advisors within our firm that he's interviewing and he's dating and he's listening to them on their client meetings so that he can see how and what if this works for him and which one he would like to maybe start getting engaged with. And then we'll start slowly moving things forward from there, where that person would start maybe picking up the phone and calling some of the B clients, seeing what they can do from there. And then over time, they would be integrated into the A clients so that if anything were to happen, they would know exactly who to pick up the phone and call.
You know, the hottest thing in the industry right now is exit and succession planning. When we have the majority of the folks in our industry are tipping way over 50, and we don't have the young coming in. And if they do come in, how do you get them started? It's a natural to take an older advisor and help bring up a younger advisor. Teaming is the solution for succession planning. And it just makes good sense, right?
It absolutely does. And to think about this, just as you're saying, they are over 50. So there's also this generational gap. One of the things I learned even through my CLF program was that today we are dealing with 5 different generations in the business. 5. Who would have thought that that was even possible? And this is where we go into, you do have your senior advisors. They should be out on the golf course. They should be traveling. They should be enjoying their lives and only working with so many clients. Then you have that next level. Below that is maybe 1 or 2 levels that we really try to get to. And the biggest thing in the industry today is, are the newer advisors being taught habits? So
Mm.
many times now it's start time. Are people being held accountable to coming in to work on time? Are they dressing for success? All these soft habits that most of our financial advisors grew up on coming into, they're not there today. So we have to, our advisors are re-putting this into, what is your planning? What is your marketing? What is your activity? How are you on the phone? Are you investing back in yourself? Are you self-educating where you're going and taking courses through the American College and getting designations or wherever it may be in order to continue educating yourself? So our advisors investing back into themselves. And even if you are a younger advisor going into a team, please know you're still a business owner. You are just as you are still a business owner, just like the senior guy above you and or gal or what above you. You're a business owner just as much as they are.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kim. You have really given us a lot to think about. And I'm sure if anybody wants to connect with you, they can get on divproco.com and see and read all about you. This has been awesome. Thank you so very much for your time and your expertise in this very informational category.
Well,
Um,
thank you very much, Thomasina, for